Hello, and welcome to this session from Learn IT Courses Online. We're glad that you're able to join us on this SSIS ETL class or session. The focus on this session is on interviewing. Questions that more certainly will come on any interview that you have on SSIS, and we would like to make sure that you pass it and succeed in it. And so this is what this is going to prepare us for. Very high level again. ETL is short for data extraction, transformation, and loading. How we extract the data and pull it from a source, if we need to modify it, and then load it into a final destination. Now, we definitely want you to succeed in answering the interview questions and be prepared for them and most ready. So we're going to do a couple of things. The first one is we're going to review the screenshot so that the questions that you're going to see in the answers, you're going to have on the background kind of a screenshot to remind you of what the application looks like. So on the left side, you have your toolbox, and up on top, you have kind of like the package design phase, which is your control flow, followed by your data flow, the parameters that you can have, event handlers, and package explorer. And on the right side, the solution explorer that demonstrates the pieces and where everything falls within your project. Now, if we were to click on the data flow, we get to see the next step. Starting with the favorite and the most common forms of data sources and destinations, and then the common transformation packages. But then, as you can see on the lower left, is we have pretty much all of the transforms or transformation objects that we have. On in the middle of the screen, if you look under other sources and other destinations, all the different kind of file types and databases that we could extract data to and load our data to. So this is a very kind of a final reminder of things. Furthermore, there are some common transformations that are used quite a bit. So we want to cover kind of the top transformations before we get into the test part of it, or preparing you for the interview questions, because those are the ones that are more than likely going to come into any interview that you have pertaining to SSIS. The first one is the definition of the aggregate transformation, and it's an asynchronous full blocking transformation. Aggregate transformation allows us to aggregate data from data flow to apply certain T-SQL functions that are done in a group by. In the middle of the screen, we can see an example of that, and all the way on the right, we can see a configuration of that. Next, we have the conditional split, which is synchronous transformation, allows us to send the data from a single data path to various outputs or path based on conditions that use the SSIS expression. And this is demonstrated in the middle of the screen as we have how it's organized and developed, and on the right side, the configuration of it. Another commonly used form of transformation is data conversion, which is synchronous transformation used for data conversion. It is a similar function to the convert or cast functions in T-SQL. Next is the derived column. It's a synchronous transformation. This transformation creates a new column that is derived from the output of another column. Next is the lookup transformation, which is a synchronous transformation, allows us to perform an equijoin between values in the transformation input and values in the reference data set, similar to T-SQL. Next is the merge. An asynchronous partial blocking transformation merges two sorted data sets into a single data set. Now, in addition to merge, there's the merge join, which is an asynchronous partial blocking transformation, allowing joining data from two sorted data sets using a full, left, or inner join. Multicast, which is a synchronous transformation, which allows us to distribute its input to one or more outputs. This transformation is similar to the conditional split transformation. The sort transformation is an asynchronous full blocking transformation, allows sort or arrange input data in ascending or descending order and copies the sorted data to the transformation output. Union all is an asynchronous partial blocking transformation, allows us to combine multiple, more than 2 input and produce 1 output. Okay, I hope by now that you warmed up, reviewed some of the major transformations that are used or commonly used transformations. We have the screen at the back of us, the background, so that we can kind of refresh our memories. And let's hit it and start with question number 1. Define ETL. What is SSIS? ETL is short for extract, transform, load, which are 3 database functions that are combined into one tool to pull data from a database. Transform it, which means to modify the way the data looks if needed, and then loading it into a destination or a database. On the other side, SSIS, or SQL Server Integration Services, is a component of Microsoft SQL Server which can be used to accomplish a broad range of data migration tasks. What are some of the important SSIS package components? The important component in SSIS packages include data flow, control flow, package explorer, and event handler. What is the difference between the control flow and the data flow? Control flow is a part of SQL Server Integration Services packages where we handle the flow of operations or tasks. Again, where we handle the flow of operation or tasks. Data flow is the part of SQL Server Integration Services package where data, underline the word data, is extracted by using data flow sources. What is Solution Explorer? Solution Explorer in SSIS Designer is a screen where we can view and access all the data sources views, projects, and other miscellaneous files. What is data flow in SSIS? Data flow in SSIS is nothing but the flow of data from the corresponding sources to the target destinations. What is a task in SSIS? Task in SSIS is very much similar to the method of any programming language that represents or carries out an individual unit of work. Tasks are categorized into 2 categories: control flow task, database maintenance tasks. What is SSIS package? A package in SSIS is an organized collection of connections like data flow elements, control events, event handlers, parameters, variables, and configurations. Name some types of connection or files that support SSIS. Different types of connection that work within SSIS are ODBC, OLEDB, .NET SQL Client, Flat File, Excel, XML. What is a container? How many types of containers are there in SSIS? A container is a logical grouping of tasks, and it allows us to manage the scope of a task together. Types of containers in SSIS are sequence container, for loop container, for each loop container, task host container. What is a precedence constraint in SSIS? Precedence constraint in SSIS enables us to define the logical sequence of tasks in the order they should be executed. What are variables in SSIS? What are the types of variables in SSIS? Variable SIS is basically used to store values. In SSIS, there are two types of variables, system variables and user variables. What is a checkpoint? Checkpoint in SSIS allows the project to restart from the point of failure. What are connection managers? While gathering data from different sources and writing it to a destination, connection managers are helpful. Why? Because connection managers facilitate the connection to the system that include informations like data provider information, server name, authentication mechanism, and database name. What is an SSIS breakpoint? A breakpoint enables us to pause the execution of the package in Business Intelligence Development Studio during troubleshooting or development of an SSIS package. What is event logging in SSIS? Event logging allows us to select any specific event of a task or package to be logged. What is logging mode property? SSIS packages and all the associated tasks have a property called logging mode. This property accepts three possible values: disabled, enabled, and use parent setting. What is a data flow buffer? SSIS operates using buffers. It is a kind of an in-memory virtual table to hold data. What data checkpoint data is not saved? Checkpoint data is not saved for each loop and for loop containers. What is conditional split transactions? Conditional split transactions in SSIS is just like if condition, which checks for the given condition based on the condition evaluation. What are some different types of data viewers in SSIS? Different types of data viewers in SSIS include grid, histogram, scatter plot, column chart. What are the possible locations to save SSIS packages? We can save SSIS packages at our SQL Server database, a package store, or the file system. What will be your first approach if the package that runs fine in Business Intelligence Development Studio bids, but fails when running it from a SQL agent job? Bids meaning the interface or data tools, SQL agent meaning on the SQL Server SSMS level database. The account that runs SQL Server agent jobs might not have the required permissions for one of the connections in our package. In such case, either we can create a proxy account or elevate the account permissions. What is the role of the Event Handlers tab in SSIS? On the Event Handlers tab, workflows can be configured to respond to package events. For instance, we can configure workflow when any task stops, fails, or starts. How can we notify the staff members about package failure? Either inside the package, we could add a send mail task in the event handlers, or we could even set notification in the SQL Server agent when the package runs. How would you do logging in SSIS? Logging in SSIS can be done by logging various events like on error, on warning, to the various options like a flat file, XML, SQL Server table, for instance. How would you deploy an SSIS package on production? To deploy SSIS package, we need to execute the manifest files and need to determine whether to deploy this into the file system or SQL Server. How do you handle early arriving facts or late arriving dimension? Late arriving dimension are unavoidable. To handle these, we can create the dummy dimension with natural business key and keep the rest of the attributes as null or default. How can you do an incremental load? The best and fastest way to do incremental load is by using timestamp column in the source table and storing the last ETL timestamp. What are some of the versions for SSIS development? Those include the older version, which was called BIDS in 2008, Business Intelligence Development Studio through 2012, and then 2015 and 17 we have what's called SQL Server Data Tools, SSDT, for Visual Studio. What is a script task? The script task provides code to perform functions that are not available in the built-in tasks and transformation that SQL Server Integration Services provide. So in such cases, we can use scripting languages or programming languages such as VB.NET or C#. What is the difference between script task and script component? Both the script task and the script component have the provision to extend the default functionality using C# or VB.NET. The script task is used in the control flow as a task, whereas the script component has been used in the data flow as a source, destination, or a transformation. Chances are any interview that you go to on SSIS or SSIS development or ETL development using SSIS is you're going to face some of those questions. So the more prepared you are, watch the video over and over, and that's why we have the question first and then the answer. Watch the question, press pause, and make sure you can answer it and explain it in a good manner in preparation for your interview. And most definitely, we wish you the best of luck.